We've got, obviously, we picked up a couple of knocks from last week that we don't feel is going to be quite ready for tomorrow's game. In terms of, obviously, we picked up a knock with Lee Gregory and picked up a knock with Icky that we don't think is going to be right for tomorrow's game, Rob. So we'll press on with what we got and look forward to the game.
How mindful do you have to be of those knocks at this time of year? Because Christmas, December, January is always a very busy time, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, Rob. And that's the thing with it, really. And you know what I've been like this season, and especially when we get knocks like that, we don't really. If they can play, they can play. If they can't play, there's an air of element and doubt because of the magnitude of the fixture list and the quick turnaround. Then there's more that's taken more into consideration.
What kind of an opportunity could this present to somebody else in your squad then, if the likes of Ihekra and Gregory can't go?
Exactly, and that's what it does. As one vacates, we have another what can fill in, and it's an opportunity for that individual to step in and stake a claim, and take the opportunity with both hands, Rob.
What do you remember about the last visit to Derby County? Obviously, it was a very dramatic game, but ultimately relegation.
Yeah, what do I remember on the day? Just more or less turning up for the game, really, Rob, because obviously I had my own illness issues, really, that I was contending with at the time. Just remember medical advice. I was told not to go to the game, but I just wanted to be at the game. So there was that, really. That's what I take from the game. I remember it being an end-to-end game. I remember it finishing 3-3. I remember, Wayne Rooney just about to make two subs to put two attacking players on, thinking he had to go and win the game, Rob. And then, down the road, Rotherham had scored and Lewis Wing had scored a goal, which meant he had to sit in and contain and take what he's got, what would be enough. And that's my sort of recollection of that day, really. But for me, from then, Rob, it wasn't so much about the day, it was about looking forward, really. I remember me speaking after the game, and it was about us just looking forward and making sure that we're patching over the cracks, and not patching over the cracks, but putting some solid foundations in and moving forward.
I wonder, did you ever, or have you ever had a conversation with Paul Warne about that day? Because you were both sort of involved, weren't you? And at various times it looked like Wednesday were going to stay up, and then Paul Warne and Rotherham were going to stay up, and you both end up getting relegated. Derby went down, and yet a few weeks later they're thrust into a massive points deduction, which ultimately saw them down as well. I mean, it was dramatic, it was political, I guess, as well, given the circumstances, and Wednesday had a points deduction too. I mean, have you ever had a chat to him about any of that?
We had the chat, and ultimately he said what sent Rotherham down was the 4 games in I think they had to play 4 games in the last week of the season, and ultimately he just couldn't do it. The squad just couldn't manage with that volume of game, not when he's playing out of his skin every single game. And I think he said by the time he got to the second game of that 4-game week, the lads were shot and blown, really. So ultimately he ran out of steam. So he's always said to me that, that's ultimately what he felt sent Rotherham down at the time, and that's probably the most we've spoken about it, really, after that time, really, in terms of how that season ended.
How different is Sheffield Wednesday Football Club now to what it was like that day?
Yeah, I mean, God, it seems like we're a million miles away that day now, in terms of the journey that we've been on, and the club's in a different state of mind. The club's in a different in terms of personnel on the pitch. I feel there's a different atmosphere in the club in terms of because we feel that we've been on this journey together. It's never been one sole identity figure that's said that it's down to him or he or she. I think the message has gone out, and we as a football club at Sheffield Wednesday have reacted together as one. And I think that's been the most key to it, is that I'm sitting here talking as a manager and the mouthpiece of the football club. But my message has been clear that it's been a joint effort. And in terms of the messages that we've tried to put out there, everybody's had to respond, Rob, and they have done. But we know in the position that we sit now, we still got work to do, Rob, and we continue to keep trying to put solid foundations and keep working at them going forward, because ultimately that's what it's going to take to keep moving this club forward.
Does the day when the club was relegated motivate you in any particular way? You know, how much does it maybe spur you on to have an occasion of greater significance for this club in your time as manager? You know, a promotion, to have sort of the opposite feeling to maybe what some of those fans, players, and yourself would have felt like when you sat down that evening after that derby game?
Yeah, and I remember me speaking directly straight afterwards, and says that the rebuilding process is starting now, and it was literally within minutes of the players coming off the pitch and knowing that they'd given their all, the rebuilding process had started, because we spoke about there was a massive imbalance in the team, where the club was at in terms of the morale and everything else. So we've done a lot of work in terms of readdressing that balance and getting some cohesion in the place, and some positivity and some energy. But that's been a joint effort, Rob, by everybody in terms of that going forward. And you know, last season was a solid season, and you know, we just ran out of game time for making that what I felt would have been a really positive end to that season. And we've tried to start this season and continue in the same vein and pick up from last season, and drove it forward. And we felt we've done that here. We've added fresh personnel again to the group to freshen it, but we've been consistent with the message, and we feel here that we need to be still even harder working and even more consistent with what we are and who we are and how we're approaching it.
The only team in the top 8 that you've beaten so far, Darren, is Bolton. You've lost 3 and drawn 2 of the other games. How important do you think it is to improve that record?
Absolutely, Rob. Irrespective of what team I'm playing in division, whether they're deemed at the top of the league or the bottom of the league, we just want a consistency and a focus of being the best version of ourselves and trying to win the game. There's not one game when we don't go into where we not want to win the game, and you can say that's how we've always approached it. Is looking for that improvement and that team ethos in terms of keeping that positivity going forward. You know, if we at this moment in time, if we've only beaten one of those top 8 teams, then we know there's a long way to go in the season. But irrespective of what game or what team we play, we're always looking to win the game, and we don't make no qualms about that. Really, it's always that mentality in terms of what we have.
Cheers, Darren. All the best.
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.
Afternoon, Darren. You alright?
You okay, Joe?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just a quick touch on the injuries. I know you mentioned Icky and Gregor's there, but with the other lads, is there any chance you might see some of them back? Like, where's George Byers at the moment?
Yeah, no, George is again doing okay, but again, like I said, that's just something that's a little bit ongoing at the moment. But he's doing okay. He's always showing positive signs, but not enough at the moment to get back in it.
And with Akin, obviously he's done his under-21s game. How close do you think that he is to potentially coming back and, you know, getting his name back in there with the first team?
No, Akin's back in now. We feel he's a couple of weeks now, 21 days he's been back. So to have him back, you know what, how I feel, our importance of having him back. So he's back involved in the squad, so he's back in. So we're pleased to have him back.
Excellent. And have you still got plans to get Dennis into a 21s game in the next week or so?
Correct, Joe. Yeah, Dennis is back on the training ground now with the main group, which we're pleased to have him back as well. And Dennis too, over the next 7 days or so, we'll be looking to try and get a game in of some capacity, Joe, to boost his fitness levels and recovery back to the first team.
Brilliant. And just before I move on to the Derby game, you were there for the 18s the other day, another good win in the Cup. That's a work hard for it in the end. How pleased were you to see them come through that one and get the result?
Really pleased for them, Joe, because I sat up there and I said for the learning it's massive. It really is huge, and they gave everything. They really give everything, and Barnsley pushed them really close right away, and ended up winning it. I believe it's 3-1 and pens in the end. A couple of good saves by Pearce, but they really were out on their feet come the end because they'd given everything really, and I'm really pleased to see them get the right result, and it just builds that team togetherness, that bond, and that sense of achievement, and then they can look forward to what's going to be the 5th round, which is the part of the round where the competition really gets exciting. So credit to them, they deserved it, and we all wait in anticipation to see who we'll have in the 5th round.
How exciting is this group of players? There's a lot of lads there who've been with the first team already. Obviously, a few pro contracts handed out. Even though some of them just turned 17. Are you sort of really amped for what could come next from this group of 18s?
We're very hopeful of them, and there's a real confidence about them because of the getting through this cup competition. They're doing well in the league. Andy, as their under 18s coach, has been really good. He's good with his work with them. He works for them on a day-to-day basis, and they're slowly but surely improving. And there's that real togetherness, and I see in the body language there's a real confidence about them, and it's what you want. So we're really hopeful with the group. And as you know, within the group, there's 1 or 2 real special talent in there that's already been in and around the first team, and have strutted their stuff with us on a day-to-day basis. So I'm really pleased for them, and with those 2 or 3 was trained with the first team, it shows the opportunity for the rest of them that's available for them, Joe. So as I said, slowly but surely they're gaining confidence, they're gaining more of that togetherness, and long may it continue this season.
Excellent. And just going on to the game this weekend, I know there's been a big turnaround in players, but there are some lads left from that horrible day at Derby a couple of years back. Do you feel like there's a chance for them to, revenge is probably the wrong word, but maybe to exercise some demons from that day? Because I'm sure it is the sort of day that lives long in the memory for them.
Yeah, and it's like Rob said, it was a crazy day because we knew after it, we knew the outcome, what happened to us, and then we knew days later the outcome, what happened to them really, which inevitably, unless it was an incredible points haul that season, would have kept them in the championship. So it's where both clubs are in League One. I think there's been a huge turnaround, certainly in the personnel in both clubs, to have any recollection of that final day. There must be minimal in both clubs really. So there's a lot of different personnel, but I think both of us are just coming together to go head to head. 3 points available, and both teams will contest those 3 points. And I think it's a great game to look forward to for both clubs and both sets of fans, and hopefully the game with the personnel of players on the pitch will live up to the right billing in terms of it being a good fixture. Definitely.
I don't know if you're aware, but Wednesday's record at Derby is pretty grim over the years. So bad, in fact, that the last time Wednesday won there, you were playing. Is that something you've obviously you've put an end to a lot of bad runs during your time at the club so far? Do you just see that this is another bad run to break?
Yeah, possibly. But I see it more, it's the next opportunity for the next game available for us to continue our run. That's how I see it, Joe, because what's gone on in the past has gone in the past, and there's nothing it can do. What we use is the game tomorrow. We look forward to the game tomorrow. So one of those, with what's gone on before, that's happened before, so be it. And as I said, this team and group of players have got enough hurdles off their back if you in terms of these records and everything else. And as a group, and that we're just focused on what we're trying to do and what we're trying to bring here and trying to be the best versions of us really. And there's another opportunity for us to do that tomorrow in a game that it's going to be another tough fixture. There's never any League One fixture, however you deem it, whether the team's top or bottom, that you get the right or the run of the mill is something that you got to go and earn it. And tomorrow we're looking forward to the game.
Definitely. I just wanted to ask, Mark McGuinness and David Stockdale up for PFA Player of the Month awards. Barry Bannon just won another Goal of the Month award. Have you been at a club before where the nominations and awards are sort of so regular before?
It's good, Joe, and it shows that as a group and as a team and the players that we're doing the right things. But the big thing for me is we're doing the right things on a consistent basis. And to have, each and every single month, a player or two up for the awards, it is great for the team, and it's good for us because we have to show that level of consistency. So for each and every single month, for somebody of some sort, whether it be on the staff or on the playing team, to be up for a nomination, then in a highly competitive league, the biggest thing for me is that they're showing that consistency to them, and it shows that they're doing something right.
Excellent. Just lastly from me, Darren, I've seen you a couple of times after games go and have a chat with the ground staff and touch base with them. Think back to a year ago and the state of the pitch at Hillsborough, what it was then compared to what it's like now. You must be really, really pleased with the work that's been done and the way the pitch looks at this point in time.
Excellent. I think Leighton's done a fantastic job and doing a great job, and he obviously runs 2 split sites, so the work that he's done is magnificent. And what people don't recognise, Joe, is that with the under-18s, with their FA Cup, and they've played the last 3 fixtures at home, our cup run, I think before the month of December, I think we've played 23 or 24 games on the pitch, because we've had first team games, FA under-18s, and the under-23s for their programme. We have to play 5 games at Hillsborough, and we've played 4 to the under-23s. So those are the hidden fixtures that the fans and everybody want to see. So to see the state of the pitch and the cleanness of the surface in terms of what we want to try and do there at Hillsborough, it's been nothing short of remarkable. So really, in context to it, we've played a full season already in just first team games already on the pitch. If it was over a 46 game season, we've had 23 or 24 on there already, and that's before December. So the condition of it has been absolutely magnificent. We've been drawn again for another cup match there, so there's another home game there. This is another hidden fixture there. That credit to the ground staff, they're doing a marvellous job, and the pitch is in great nick.
They're probably quite happy there's a few away games on the horizon then.
Yeah, now it gets a little bit of a breather because we've got a couple of away games now in tomorrow and next week against Exeter. But then once we get to the Christmas programme, we've potentially got 4 games on it in 11 days. We've got Port Vale, then Cambridge. I think we've got Newcastle in the cup, and I may have missed another one somewhere there in there, I can't remember, but we got a few games on it, so it gets back to a real busy time where there's a real quick turnaround to get the pitches ready.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, Darren. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Joe. Cheers.
Darren, how's tricks?
All right, Alex. Yeah, good talk.
Good stuff. You can never describe relegation as a bad thing. As a good thing. But did it make it easier? Maybe the reset that you've spoken about that the club required. Did dropping division? Did it open up perhaps an opportunity if there was to be a silver lining to that day at Pride Park?
I wouldn't say he presented an opportunity, because it's something that we didn't want to happen, and I still firmly believe that if we'd have kept our championship status, then the same work would have continued more, that would have been continued. So I wouldn't say so, because what's happened. What we have done is reacted to the situation and looked at the situation and stripped things back a bit really, and just had a look within and then started to build it from within. But for me again, Alex, it's not just been us as individuals or sole entities. It's been, in order to get us going, get us up and moving, it's been a joint effort by everybody. And even though we've got the supporters and the players and everybody connected back into the club, and since post-COVID and everything else, we know, Alex, as well, that there's still a lot of work to be done by everybody. So the message has always been clear that we've achieved nothing yet in terms of what we want to do. We want to continue this, and in terms of what the team's been showing, that consistency level in terms of trying to look to get better. So as I feel the infrastructure around and the supporters and everything around the club, and we need to continue that because everybody's got their part to play.
I don't know if you know this, Paul Warne is the manager you've come up against most in your career. The record is 3 wins and 3 defeats, so there's some arm wrestling going on there. In terms of the football that he plays, what challenges do his teams tend to present, and has he managed to instill that from what you've seen of his Derby side so far?
I would say it's probably a little bit different to where the time that he's had at Rotherham and the players that he's recruited at Rotherham. The group that he's got now is a very different group to what he's had at Rotherham. I'm sure he knows now that, and it's with the greatest respects to Rotherham, that he's at a club that, there's more scrutiny on him, there's more detail on the team, the staff, there's more scrutiny from probably players that's been at the club, ex-players that's been at the club. And he's realising that he's in a team that's in a division where there's a lot of demand, and there'll be a lot of demand on them. So where probably he was at, and I don't speak out of line here, where he probably felt that there were certain games he'd have got away with before at his previous employees. There's certain games where he's at now that he just doesn't get away with really. But such is the appetite, and it's probably why he took the job, because you want to be in this arena and you want to work for these clubs and you want to showcase what you're about really. So he's in that arena now, and I'm pleased for him. Obviously the opportunity deserves it in terms of the work that he's done in his previous employees, and it's a club that he's managing now that I've played for. I think I was part of the team, the last team there in 2006 and 7 that went to the Premier League. So I understand the magnitude of the club, and I understand the fabrics it was in that club in terms of the size and the personnel of the club. So it's an arena for me that I'm stepping back into tomorrow, and I know sort of every corner of the club really in terms of being a former player there. So I understand the size and task of the job that he's got in terms of there, but hopefully it's one that should whet his appetite.
He won't be the only familiar face, will he? I think Joe Wildsmith is expected to play. We don't know quite the situation with Nathaniel Menendez-Land. What was the situation with them leaving the club? I know Nathaniel sort of raised a couple of eyebrows with a social media post that maybe suggested that they hadn't finalised a contract offer. What was the story with him in particular, but with those two leaving, and how close were they to staying?
Contract offer's got to be right. It's as simple as that. It's a two-way thing. The contract offer's got to be right for the club. The contract offer's got to be right for the player. Somewhere along the line that just didn't materialise, and that's football. If you can't agree and the players able to go on a free, then that's it. We move on, and all parties, as you've seen, has moved on, and getting on with the football side of things. So that's just football, and if they are playing tomorrow, we look forward to seeing them tomorrow, and if they're not, then we still wish them well in terms of their careers going forward.
I promise you I'm not sort of angling at anything here, but you had given Nathaniel a bit of a lifeline, hadn't you? He'd been out of football for a long time. Were you disappointed with the fact that he didn't stay on, or is it just a case of that's football and you understand it?
No, Mendes done superb for me and the team last season when we got him, and I'm pleased. He's a great man. He's a real good family man, and solid, and he contributed to last season in terms of the positivity last season in terms of that. So really pleased for him and his contribution, and we get that football. And same with Joe. Joe's was at the club for numerous time and years, and as I said, we just, it came to that time, and Joe wanted to go and seek and play first team football. It's great that he's got the move to Derby and he's playing, and he's doing really well for them. So that again is different parameters in football, but they happen in football. And will them two be the last players to go through that situation with the club? No, because they happen every season, and they'll continue. But what we just did was amicably, we've moved on, they've moved on, and we wish them well going forward now.
Good stuff, great stuff. I know you love me badgering you about transfers, especially out the window, so I'm going to have another go now. You sort of mentioned a couple of weeks ago that those meetings with the recruitment team and all the rest of it were going to start happening. Your phone was going to be buzzing. Are you satisfied with how those preliminary conversations leading into January are going?
Yeah, it is. At the moment, they're steady. I'll have meetings with my recruitment team next week again, because 24 hours in football is a long time, Alex, as you know, let alone a week. So from now to the end of this, to that, when the window opens, there's regular sort of contact in terms of just the dynamics of how the season's going, number one, and the squad really. So there's regular contact now, but the phones are very busy at the moment. Again, it started already, and it won't just be me as the manager. I think all managers will be going through it now, part and parcel of it over the month of December and certainly January.
What are we looking at? Can you tell us whether there's money available, or are you sort of hunting more in the loan market?
I wish I could tell you that, Alex, but I can't say anything at the moment. Because why? Because the window's not open yet, and I've just got lots of games to focus on for tomorrow. So we're not really lifting our heads or our focus away from the league. As I said, we're back to the league programme. We're broken away from the cup match, the cup programmes now. We're back into the league and just focus back on the league.
Transfer questions over, I promise. Josh Windass is probably the one, obviously didn't play the last game. How's he getting on? Is he in contention tomorrow?
Yeah, no, he's fine. Josh doing really good. As I said, for Josh, it wasn't anything of any serious magnitude at all, which was really pleased. So yeah, he's okay, and he's doing really well and making wonderful strides.
Fantastic, great news. Cheers, I'll see you tomorrow, Darren.
Thanks, Al. Cheers.
Hi Darren, you okay?
Ricky, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, thank you.
Okay.
Just in terms of, obviously tomorrow's game, as a spectacle, it's got all the ingredients, I guess, hasn't it? Full house.
Yeah.
Hopefully the weather's better than than it has been. You look back to that game, obviously it was behind closed doors, wasn't it? The 3-3.
Yeah.
How much are you kind of looking forward to a game that, really shouldn't be in League One, should it, these two clubs?
No, you can arguably say that because of the fan base, support from both clubs, and both clubs go head to head tomorrow. And yeah, you can look at it and think, is the level that this fixture is? It should be one higher, but it just goes to show the support of the both clubs and where the both teams are at, and it's great to have the fans back in. So we're really looking forward to the game, and I would imagine, I said, to the boys, if you was sort of aspiring to be a professional footballer, when you cast your mind in terms of playing in front of stadia and crowds and everything else, then this will certainly be a fixture that ticks all those boxes. As I said, it'll be a great game for both teams, and the place down at the iPro will be in full voice, I'm sure.
Just in terms of, and Alex was touching on transfers there, last season I think you made 8, maybe 9 loan signings. I think you've had 3 so far. Is that something that you were conscious about, not having to rely too much on kind of players that obviously aren't yours?
Definitely, Ricky, without a doubt. Another area to us this season that we looked at and addressed. Last season it was more difficult because we had to readdress the balance and get some of the extra loans in. But we feel this year we've got a fitter squad. We were able to work. Rob Lee, our sports science, had a pre-season to work with the group, so we wanted smaller numbers, a bit more versatility to the squad, and that's what we've addressed this season. And one of the other areas was the loan players. We didn't want nowhere near as the volume of loan players, so we only felt we wanted 3, and all 3 of them are contributing magnificently, certainly over the first part of the season.
Just in terms of the under-23s, I know they've not got a game now, I think, till mid-January. How do they kind of keep ticking over? Have you got games planned for like behind closed doors kind of thing?
Yeah, we got a lot of bounce matches in because it's important that they keep training and keep on the front foot. So there'll be a lot of behind closed doors or in-house games, and I think they've got one next week. So and so on and so forth. So they'll keep their fitness levels up that way.
And I just wanted to ask about Ben Hennigan. Has he undergone his surgery yet? Has he had that done?
Yeah, Ricky, he had it done today.
All right.
Successful up, which is brilliant. So for Ben now, the road is clear now to recovery now. He's served that time, and all's gone really well. We've had message he had it done this morning, and I'll give him a phone. I'll phone him tonight when we get to the hotel. I'll give him a phone and see how he is.
I was going to say that's, I think Dom Iorfa was in a similar situation, wasn't it? Maybe last season or the year before. I suppose when it's like that, to have someone who's gone through that, a long layoff, because like you say, it's a long road ahead, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is a long road ahead, but I think for Ben, mentally now that he's had it done, he knows now the road to recovery is starting now.
Yeah.
And yeah, he'll get the best support. He'll get the best treatment, and he'll recover. As I said, with those types of operation now, you can make a full recovery from them, and that's what we expect from him. So the main thing for him now is getting himself back fit, and he's got the team of the physios, the medical department that will get him back.
And just finally, obviously Derby County tomorrow, they're in pretty decent form, aren't they? Have you noticed a change in style since Paul took over from Liam?
Yeah, I mean, certainly from Liam, we felt was a more probably possession base, sort of kept the ball and dictated the ball more and wanted to keep hold of the ball. Paul, there's elements of that, but there's certainly the elements of getting the ball forward and getting into the opposition's box area, which is credit to what he's trying to do there and what he's trying to implement there. And he's got some good players that know their way around the football pitch. He's got some players there that, probably a season ago was applying their trade in the Premier League. So there's a good level to the squad. He's getting a good consistency at the squad, and he's got some real quality players there that at this level they're an exceptional players really. So we're looking forward to the game. Both teams are in good form at the moment, and we go head to head, and it's good. And as I said, we feel here that we're looking forward to the game, and hopefully it lives up to the spectacle as it is on paper.
Excellent. Cheers for that, Darren, and good luck tomorrow.
Cheers, Ricky. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.